Immune cells need signalosomes for cytotoxicity.
In this video, I'm going to be talking about signalosomes as well as why immune cells and T cells need uh, the clustering so that the signalosomes will be able to work, as well as why immune cells are so reliant on signalosomes. So also how membrane rigidity and fluidity plays a role. So basically, cell membranes are fluid mosaics, lipids and proteins that move laterally. If the membrane is too rigid, such as high cholesterol, saturated fats, or oxidative cross-linking of lipids, then the receptors on T cells, such as T cell receptors or B cell receptors, they cannot cluster. As a result of the disabling of the clustering, uh, the signalosomes, they cannot form because clustering is essential for the forming of signalosomes. So why signalosomes are especially important for immune cells? Because it matters due to sensitivity to detect tiny amounts of antigen, uh, rapid activation to fight infections, precision, that this is critical here, to avoid attacking the body's own tissues, or in other words, autoimmunity, where there are excessive rogue T cells and they are attacking the body, and that's not good, such as in situations such as arthritis, thyroid problems, and then also for also needed for large immune responses. So without clustering, the immune responses would be weak, slow, or misdirected as a result of high cholesterol or high saturated fats. Okay, so signalosomes, they're also important to align receptors, adhesion molecules, and signaling proteins. Without this structure, signaling would be disorganized and inefficient. Okay, so a signalosome is like a temporary command center built right where the signal arrives. So the clustering uh, recruits many intracellular proteins into one. That is, if there's not high saturated fat and no high cholesterol. And the signalosomes are clusters of signaling proteins that assemble at the cell membrane. When a receptor is activated, they form when receptors, like immune receptors, cluster together, which is not possible with high saturated fat or cholesterol. Okay, and there's also a spleen tyrosine kinase called SYK. SYK is also needed in the process of forming or assembling a signalosome. Signalosomes are also central to immune synapses and killing mechanisms involving perforin and granzyme B. So perforin and granzyme B is basically a mechanism that T cells and NK cells use on tumors to make them go through programmed cell death or apoptosis. So signalosomes, they help trigger cytotoxic T cell activation by literally directing vesicles containing perforin and granzyme B toward the target cell, likely cancer cells. And without proper signalosome formation, killing would be inefficient or misdirected. It could even go towards healthy tissue or nearby healthy cells and damaging those healthy cells or tissue unnecessarily. Okay, now I'm going to talk about some nuts and seeds that could help the membrane of the cells and immune cells to possibly help support the formation of signalosomes. So the first one here is pistachio, rich in monounsaturated fatty acids or MUFAs. They enhance fluidity of the cell membrane, therefore supporting T cell receptor clustering. That's critical because if the cell membrane is rigid, then the clustering cannot happen. Therefore, the signalosomes cannot form, and then no granzyme B perforin attack or apoptosis. Also, possibly autoimmune attack on healthy tissues. Next one is pectins, high in antioxidants, reduces lipid peroxidation, therefore maintaining membrane integrity. So sounds like it could possibly help the signalosome formation. Next is macadamia nuts, monounsaturated fats, Softer membranes sounds like a opposite of rigid membranes, therefore better receptor mobility so that it can allow the receptor clustering for the signalosome formation. Next is peanuts. Resveratrol-like compounds may support kinase activity indirectly. Okay, so kinase activity is needed for a pathway called ZAP70, which has to do with immune cell activation and functions, but I'll cover that in a different video. It's beyond the scope of this video. So the next nut is almonds, has vitamin E, protects lipids from oxidative cross-linking. Cashews contains magnesium and unsaturated fats. Stabilized kinase anchoring improves signaling. Since it has unsaturated fats, that means that the saturated fats won't be too high, which makes the membrane rigid and disabling the signalosome. Next is sunflower seeds, high in vitamin E and PUFAs, prevents rigidification, maintains lipid raft dynamics. So preventing rigidification is critical to allow and enable the formation of signalosomes. Next is pumpkin seeds, supports SYK because SYK is a part of the process and the steps of the formation of signalosomes. So pumpkin seeds are great for that. Next is Brazil nuts, protects kinases and lipid environment. So therefore kinases for ZAP70. So another important reason and benefit of dietary intake of these nuts and seeds for the formation of signalosomes is that the clustering and the formation of the signalosome also has a positive effect on the receptor expression and adhesion for the receptors on the immune cells, such as receptors for amino acids to be able to uptake arginine, especially in the tumor microenvironment where tumors they deplete arginine on T cells and T cells have less arginine to uptake. Therefore, T cells cannot use nitric oxide, which I'll cover in a different video. But signalosomes and the clustering allows the amino acid receptor for T cells to take up arginine. Also, other receptors for fatty acids, such as the FATP receptor, signalosomes, and the proper formation of the signalosomes will allow immune cells to use fatty acids as a fuel source. Also allows IL-2 uptake in T cells as well. Also, the zinc receptor also works, such as ZIP1 and ZNT1. These are critical for T cell proliferation or to increase in T cell numbers. That's especially important if cancer cells are not undergoing apoptosis or programmed cell death, and there are a lot of cancer cells. So it's important to increase the number of T cells to keep up with the number of cancer cells that could be metastasizing. So proper signalosome formation can help the zinc uptake for T cells. So that's it for the video. If you're interested in more future videos, then make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Keep it locked in here on my channel, and I'll see you in the next video.